the the doctor was like, "Hey, you should try and go 100% now." I was like, "Okay."
That's always been like the scary part, is like the potential of injury. And then when you compete, it's like, well, that, it just like the percentage goes up like a bunch.
Yeah.
It's not like, especially because you guys are going. You guys are going like, you guys are going 100% compared to training, where you're going like, let's say 90, but it's still not 100. It's not a fight. It's not a competition. It's not someone, and when you're training with people, it's someone that you know.
Yeah, and you need to kind of take it. Yeah, you kind of just take it slower. You're kind of gentle with it.
Yeah.
I was just like it definitely felt like a whole lot different, even like from like tournament competition wise, because it's like, I guess like everybody knows like, oh shit, we got like so much to get to like the last 3 events and all that stuff, to where it's like you're going slow, but like in this like super fight thing, it's like one and done, going to hunt, like blow your wad no matter what.
Right. All right. So you had text. So we just started recording, and we can kind of jump into. So you had text me this morning. This episode will probably come out next week sometime, because I already have the episode recorded for this week. But so every once in a while you'll send me like a Breakfast Club like link or something interesting via the Breakfast Club, and I like their show, and I don't listen to them often because it's a radio show. So like, they're coming in and out, and it's very, very like mainstream radio, because they're on iHeartRadio and all this other shit. But you had texted me, or you had messaged me asking me for, like, you're curious about my opinion on this certain little excerpt that they had. I'm like, well, send me the full link so I can listen to the full interview, because the little part that you sent me was just I guess where they were briefing on the fact that what if or when this next crash happens, they were saying 2024 2025, that was these guys. So I never heard of them. So Earn Your Leisure, I guess, is one of the groups. That's their podcast. That's what they're called. And then Ian Dunlap is the other guy that joined Breakfast Club. And just for the sake of fucking legalities, this is not like financial advice. We're just shooting the shit over some finance stuff that interests us. I don't want anybody coming like, oh, they said this, and then somewhere down the road, like in the metaverse, where they're like, we're gonna sue you. It's like, well, we were just talking and learning and figuring, trying to figure this stuff out too. So I listened to it a few times. I do want, so I guess we can exchange opinions, because I listened to the little 30-minute interview. Like I listened to it twice, and I had already read about the mayor of New York. I guess his name's Eric Adams, taking his first 3 checks in Bitcoin. The guys on the podcast, on the radio show, they were like, one of them said, when people see like a leadership, a person at the top taking crypto, and that usually trickles down, that they see it as a good thing. I see it as a good thing, just because it'll give people more confidence in crypto. There's still a lot of people that are scared. They're thinking about it like the general stock market, which they should. Like, you should be scared. It really is the wild west. So I think that's what one of my buddies, that's what he's called it. Where like NFT, like this NFT world, and like all these new things. It's the wild west, because there are a lot of things that are going to fail, but there's a lot of things that have gotten better. What's your opinion on? Let's just start with that, and then we'll get into the conversation as far as the mayor of New York taking on crypto.
Okay, because like, I mean, well, I guess I'm kind of like torn between two. Like, I'm kind of torn because like, I personally, the only thing I ever jumped into crypto wise was Dogecoin when it kind of blew up. And just because of that, I was like, oh, I want to dip my feet in it. So I just put like just a little bit of money just to buy a certain percentage of it, or a certain amount of coins from it. And that was like the only thing as far as crypto related of buying the currency that I got into. But because of this other guy that I follow, I was getting real into buying stocks of companies that mine Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, I remember you texting me. I actually have someone saved on my Robinhood, just so I can see how they're doing.
And and I've kind of been I've been investing in those types of companies because there was a fun thing that the guy told me. Like, he mentioned you can always invest in the product, but why wouldn't you invest in the workers that create the product?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, why you can invest in the Apple Watch, but who's gonna make the Apple Watch? Wouldn't you rather like invest in the people that are making it, kind of thing? So I was like, okay, so I kind of get it. So that's why I'm kind of like torn as far as the cryptocurrency, because it's like, as much as I don't have a lot of my, I guess, financial portfolio invested in cryptocurrency, I do have it invested in other companies that create cryptocurrency. And I guess also the other thing that I was also thinking about as far as like cryptocurrency goes is, I mean, I would love to get more into it, or at least kind of find that one currency that booms like the Bitcoins did, the Ethereums and all that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, granted, right now like Bitcoin and Ethereum are pretty high up there.
It's so crazy how high they are, bro.
Yeah, like Ethereum's like at
so
$4,000, and the fun thing was that the gentleman that I do follow on Instagram, his name is like Tall Guy Tycoon. He's a Puerto Rican dude. It was funny because there was a comment brought up saying that once Bitcoin finds a way to break from the 55 to 60 mark, it's gonna boom. And sure enough, it's like, I guess it's like a certain, I mean, I'm not saying it's what happens, but what it looks like, it's like it reaches like a certain plateau, like, you know, when you're like lifting, like you barely hit that one set of 225, but then like next week you can do 10 reps of like 225. So it seems like that's kind of what it is. It's like, like once it hits that like that 60K, it's like, okay, now that's gonna be the basis, and then we're gonna go up from there.
Yeah, that's like your new career. Because that's another thing, like I guess people don't realize is, you know, because dude, these guys are really good at being able to explain like what's going on, and you know, and it's like, man, like it's stuff that I know, but I wish I could explain it like them, because then I feel like I'm willing to listen to them more just because they're able to explain it simply. Because they were even talking like, you know, when a stock hits like an all-time high and it starts correcting a little bit, you know, you still want to buy that correction because it helps your average cost for your stock, for each stock share that you buy, for each share that you buy.
Dude, because I even told my coworker, I was like, because I told him about them, and I was just like, dude, like my biggest thing, what I like enjoy by them is like, yeah, I follow like other people that kind of explain the trends and everything else, but these guys, like, they explain it like to the average Joe. Like their vocabulary isn't that, or I mean, I'm pretty sure it is. But
right. They probably could say it in like a more intricate way, but
they just like break it down to like the common Joe, the average guy walking down the street.
Common person can understand. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, cool. I follow. I get it. I can follow that. That and that little neat trick that they brought out with the, I didn't know that there was like a 10, 20, 30 rule kind of thing.
Yeah. No, That's it wasn't the same little statement that I'm talking about, where it's like I'm like, oh shoot, like yeah, it makes sense. Just like they figure out how to put it into words so that other people can use it.
Dude, I kid you not. As soon as I found out, or like as soon as they kind of brought it up, I was just like, So the three little stocks that they brought up, I pretty much like I followed them right away. I put them in my watch list, and then I started going through them, finding their peak value. And then I get it, and then I brought it down. I'm like, okay, so if it drops 10%, it's gonna be here, 20% is gonna be here, 30% is gonna be here. And then I started looking at it what it is right now, and then I was just like, some of them were like floating in that like 10 to 20 range. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna keep an eye on this one, because it seems like it might be something that could grow, or like
has potential. It's based on the graph, it's showing potential.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, like as far as listeners listening to us, you know, having this conversation, is like we're looking at these things, and at the end of the day, we're trying to make the best educated guess is really what we're doing. There's obviously intricate ways, because like I have buddies now that they have like I have one specifically that he's gonna get in. He wants to, and he's getting into like the day trading like mindset. So he has like his setup, and he has the computer with the graphs, and he has like his algorithms that are already preset. So it'll notify him, hey, this is going here, this is going here. And like for me, that's too intricate. Like I am not. I'd have to really sit down and learn how to do that, where he's already kind of doing it. So it's like And also, I have other stuff that I, including the podcast, where it's like it's not my primary focus. Like him, like he wants to get into day trading and stuff like that. But it's like we're trying to figure this stuff out to make the best educated guesses to then purchase at a decent time and then wait for it to like, dude. Like, I feel like even since the last time me and you talked like in depth like this, over the past year, COVID, pre-COVID. It's like we've been waiting for this crash for a few years now. Like, that's the way I feel. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like I've been hearing about it. We've all been kind of waiting for it, especially us that are kind of in tune to what's going on. But still, overall, it's like it hasn't happened yet. And my opinion also was like I thought maybe it was maybe the fact that COVID happened and the world shut down essentially for a while, that helped maybe stop this crash that they're talking about. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting and I feel like I'm just waiting at this point.
I mean, because it makes, I guess it kind of also makes sense because even during like COVID, during I guess like COVID times, I don't know if we're still in them, but I mean like during like
right, yeah. Like
season.
before we had the numbers we have now and the information we have now.
Yeah, I guess like in the prime COVID season, lockdown season, it was like I'll be having conversations and then they would mention like a buddy would mention it's like, oh, it's because like the Fed's throwing money in there and it's causing inflation, and I was just like, oh, I guess I really didn't have too much of an understanding of it, but because they kept doing it so much, it kind of now makes sense why it hasn't well, I guess in a sense our bubble hasn't popped yet to make its proper corrections. Like there was corrections here and there every once in a while, but like the guys were talking about, it never actually corrected itself, like had that 30% dip or whatever it needed to set itself up at that new plateau and then go up from there. So I guess it makes sense. And I mean, there's only so much that they can do. So I mean, it could eventually happen. I mean, I wouldn't mind it because it just means got more money.
Because like they were talking about like how like because they were talking about the bubble. And then I started looking at I wanted to mention these numbers because like for the average person that's scared to invest or they think they need to invest or want to invest, it's like they brought the S&P 500. So I looked it up. The VOO is the ticker. And it's at $430 now. Over the past, so I look at the 5-year mark to make my real final decision to see if this. In this case, obviously, it's an ETF. It's an index as well, so it's different than looking at the Apple, right? Apple 5-year, what they've done in 5 years. But like, I mean, the VOO has gone up 116% in the past 5 years, which is not bad, and that's given COVID. I'm gonna take a screenshot so I can put it on the screen here, so people can see what we're looking at, what I'm looking at. But it's like, even given COVID, it's crazy like what has happened. Because I remember, I mean, because I actually have invested in one of the indexes, not specific. It's the Vanguard S&P, but it's not this ETF. It's another ETF that they have. And I remember when it was trading at $115, $110. That's when I started buying in, and now it's trading at $298. Like since I started,
doubled up.
And and just a little more, than that. But it's just crazy. Like but you got to play the long game. One thing that I feel like we're all a part of is just that short-term payout that we're so used to.
Actually, I'm kind of in that dilemma. I'm kind of in that dilemma right now because so I had this contract that I bought for an option for this company called BTBT because I was following that gentleman. The gentleman I was telling you, that tall guy.
I think I have them saved because of you. Continue.
Yeah, that tall guy tycoon. So kind of so I bought the contract, and here was my thing. I did DM the guy, but it took him a while to answer me. But then when I first initially DM'd him, I was on that verge. So I buy the contract short, middle, long. And then at the time I was like, no, the way we've been talking about and we've been hearing about that Bitcoin's gonna go blow up by the end of the year, I was like, let me keep it and let me purchase it until February of 2022. So I have it from now to February of 22. But
Gotcha.
during that initial, like that quick period or something like that, like within the first 2 weeks or 2 weeks of the contract, it's
When was
skyrocketed.
this more or less? When was this that you bought it?
Ooh,
Because
I want to.
I'm looking at July. Was it July or was it August or like after?
No, I purchased the contract where it says date added 8/3. It might have been August. Yeah, I
So
purchased it
the
on
beginning of
August 3rd.
August.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got it
So
pretty
continue,
much at the
sorry.
beginning of August.
Gotcha. So continue with your story. I didn't mean to cut you off.
And so I guess that's where I kind of faulted in the sense that I did it for the long game. So I'm still seeing what might happen. I
Mhm.
might still double up. I might still, but it was that short gratification that it was like it jumped up so much that maybe I should have gone out at that time. But I was like, you know what? No, I'm sticking with this in the long run. I'm gonna see how it goes. And at the moment, I guess because I didn't uh stick to that first like get that first boom and then don't be greedy about it. Look, we made our money. Let's just back out and then we'll
Yeah.
wait. I was like, no, I'm gonna stick to the long run. Let's let it ride. And I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man. So we'll see right now. I mean, I still have it for another 3 months, and I'm just hoping that Bitcoin keeps rising. And then once I
'Cause-
once I once I
Yeah,
double up,
because
or
they're not doing like terrible, but it's like it's literally a roller coaster. Like that company is literally a roller coaster right now. Like it just the way
yeah.
their graphs are moved for the past 12 months. It's just all over the place.
And the thing was, because you're I guess like in that whole short term, the whole short term topic that we were talking about, like with your buddy that was
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
the day trading. I've
yeah,
even come to realize, dude, you can't do day trading or you can't have a day job and day trade at the same time.
yeah,
There's
yeah, yeah.
no way.
Hmm.
Because there are times that even like I'm there at work and even if I have my phone just on the side just to like have like just to have it showing like the graphs or anything that's like moving up and down, you're not gonna focus on that graph without like your work slowing down or your actual job
Yeah,
taking a hit because there's no way. Like you have to be on that ball like every minute, like every time there's something that happens and you're watching it go up 3 seconds, go back down 2 cents, come back up 3 cents, and it's like, when do I get out? Do I get out now? Do I just wait? And I
yeah.
don't know, it's
No,
like
yeah,
an anxiety attack.
I was about that. That's where I was basically going too. I was like, man, like, I don't. I mean, it's. I don't know. Like, yeah, it's funny because it's hard for me to put into words because um sometimes, dude, like when I like if I find something and I put sometimes I'll put in the money and like I see it correct after I put in the money. And it's so weird. Like it's like I'm like, do you guys know that I'm putting money? So now like like I'm paying attention to whatever stock ABC, whatever, whatever. It's just this. It's a made up ticker, but I'll see a stock and I'm paying attention for the day, and then I've seen like, oh, it's doing pretty good, and I'll expand it, to the year and to the 5 years, see if I want to buy. And I'm like, well, it looks like it could correct, but it could also keep going up and like correct higher than what I could buy it. Here go up, correct, but stay higher than where I bought it at. And lately, it's like it's here, and I buy. It goes up here and it corrects down here lately. That's been my luck so far, which I'm not mad about. A lot of these things is like I do treat um my investing somewhat as a game. I'm not putting money into these new things, especially I'm into it. I'm technically in the NFT game very, very early. I own one
Mm-hmm.
that I like. And so I don't want to share it publicly because there's a thing that Gary Vee brought out recently. I think it was Gary Vee or someone talking about NFTs, but basically we're like these NFTs and these crypto assets. You can treat them as like your actual assets. So you don't want to, you're not just out there exposing just all the shit that you have. So anyways, um, fuck, I lost my train of thought. Um,
The
Where were we
NFTs
going
that
with
the
this?
NFT that you just purchased that you're seeing how it's gonna play out.
Oh yeah, so like all these things. I guess what my point was, like all these things to include, like, because NFTs are very, they're only, if 2-3 years old, but like not spending more than, not breaking your personal bank. Like I'm not, I'm not throwing my life savings into crypto. I'm not, and that's one thing they also brought up in this interview that
Yeah.
on the Breakfast Club too was, you want to protect your capital assets. What's the
Yeah, they brought up the idea that it's like you don't want to invest everything all into like the stock market, that you have to have some sort
yeah,
of like fallout plan or backup plan. And but that even works like in like regular like career life goals, because I remember I was always even told that it's like, hey, do you have enough money in your savings that if something would happen to your job, you can rely on 6 months of no work and
yeah,
you'll be able to survive. And
right.
it's kind of that same thing. Like you're not gonna want to dump 100%. You lose and you're left with nothing. And it's
And
like,
you're left with nothing.
and,
That's actually, like, just the concept of that is actually more gives me more anxiety than
mm-hmm.
playing the game a little bit, trying to do a little bit of math to make a good decision. The fact of, like, if you were to put out 100% of everything, it's like, oh no, like there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, no, I
Uh,
mean,
and
there's,
I don't think it's common sense. I feel like there's a lot. You have to. There's all these investing and these financings that we talk about. There's a lot of thought process that should be done before you
mhm.
make these purchases. So I won't say, oh, it's common. It's like it's really not. But you can make very good educated guesses on when to do X, Y, and Z.
Because like, dude, like going to those NFTs, like, I mean, I'm intrigued about it. Like, I want to learn more into it, and I've done my research a little bit here and there, and it's I don't know where it's going in a sense to what this whole like metaverse thing is going into and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but they brought up, or even like other people that I've heard, it's like these NFTs. What makes them so valuable is that it's like the artist where it's coming from. So it's like you're learning like the origin, and it kind of brings me also, besides also Nike providing an NFT with their new shoes that they're going to start providing and all that stuff, and how that's going to be brought up to your character, and that there was also some things where it's like the value of the NFT that you have brings you into a certain like group or area that you could enter with the whole like metaverse going on and
Is it
everything.
like they're like it's gonna create like a status, like you have
Yeah,
this, you have this type of
yeah.
stat, you have this status in that metaverse? That's interesting.
Like
I haven't heard about that yet.
yeah, I was recently getting into that today. So like it would be like something like, I mean, it's very a vague example, but like if we're both into like the whole Nike NFTs,
Mhm.
and my Nike NFT is more valuable than yours, like let's say it's we have like 3 stages, and because of your NFT you can make it a stage 2, but my NFT is more valuable, so I can go up to stage 3, and that's another like a barrier that you can't enter because your NFT value isn't there yet.
That's crazy. So then is the idea that if you buy, if you have, you're in tier 3, I'm in tier 2. If I buy more NFTs, then I just I move up in status. Is that how that works?
Well, I was
You move up in
what I
numbers,
understood
or
when I understood when I was reading it, it's the value of the NFT, not the amount of the NFT,
got it. Okay.
or however you reach your like your NFT values.
Yeah, so the value. Okay, okay. Yeah, so I wasn't understanding correctly. I understand now. Okay, so if I, well, okay, I guess a way you could do it. So
Well,
if I bought a high valued NFT, that would help me
yeah, well,
level up.
that too, but also what it what it sounds more like, it's like your I guess your NFT portfolio,
Mhm.
because if we're just talking strictly one and one, like if my one is worth more than your one, I would be on a higher tier.
Mhm.
But if you have 3 smaller NFTs to my one NFT and your 3 match up to my one, then we're both in the same tier.
Tracking. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So
So it's like
there's
your
different
NFT
ways to end
portfolio.
up there. Yeah. Okay. But it's the whole thing. Your entire like net worth, basically in NFTs. Your net worth in
that's kind of
NFTs will allow you to be a certain size. That's interesting. I haven't heard about that. I've been very much into, obviously I have been listening into Metaverse, Web3. Have you heard of Web3 yet? Web 3.0?
No, that one I haven't heard yet.
I I won't do too much detail because I really don't want to screw it up. There's videos, there's videos and there's things out there about, so basically Web 1.0 was in 1991 when the internet first started. And basically at that point, from then until like the early 2000s, you could basically, the internet gave you information, right? So you search something and it gave you information. It was basically a read-only type format. Then approximately like 2003, 2004, Web 2.0 started when the internet started gathering data from you to then basically give you back information based on what you search. So that's where we've become the product, which is still going on currently, right? So Facebook ads, all this stuff that we're going through right now. That's
podcasting, video podcasting,
all
the high bandwidth.
Well, but also like not just like that, but also in the aspect of like the algorithms and the coding that's created. Let's say on Facebook and on Instagram, it's like when you search for something, now you're gonna start seeing ads for it. So when you see ad, let's just say for hunting gear, well, now the internet's gonna start giving you ads about hunting gear. That makes sense. And that's what's made us the product, because now the internet is, we're giving the internet information and it's feeding us now. It's not a one-way communication. Now it's back and forth based on what we search and what we look at. Web 3.0 is like the beginning of, obviously it's NFT, but it's like the decentralization of the internet, where now the information on the platforms is ours. Where if you create an NFT or you create some sort of blockchain or whatever, you are now the sole owner, and now you have your own like piece of that of the web. Basically, it's hard for me to explain. That's why I don't want to screw it up too bad. I'm not trying to go into too much detail about trying to explain it, but
it's kind of like internet real estate.
Yeah. And some of those videos I've seen where like, there's companies are already out there, Nike's getting into it. Universal Music Group is getting into the music side of it as far as NFTs. People are already buying land on is it Decentraland, or I forgot what one of the meta worlds is called, but there's companies already buying land on those platforms.
Yeah, which I mean, there's already artists that are like creating NFTs as well. Like the other day, I saw that Post Malone made 2 of them already, and really? Then like and each of like there's already several people that have been making them now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not saying it's like a rich get richer kind of thing, but I mean, they have to be doing it for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying like how's the best way to put it? I always think like even with like Vegas odds and all and like the stock market, it's like they know what they're doing, because I always like look at like certain options, and I'm always like, you see like the first one, which would be like a week option, and then you have like 2 week option, then a 3 week option, and sometimes the 1 week option, it might be at a decent price or something where in the middle. The week 2 might be at a cheaper price, but like the week 3 is going to be higher, and it's always like, why is that week 3 would be higher? You would think that it's like because the stock market is so volatile, or the stock would be so volatile, that how do you know that within 3 weeks it's going to blow up? And sure enough, it's like the price is raised up for like the average consumer to be like, you know what, that's a little too much for me, I don't want to jump into it. But for like someone that's got an unlimited bankroll, for them, they're like, oh well, I can afford that, so here it goes. And they'll be buying like a contract for like $4,000, $5,000, or they'll buy like 3 of those contracts, and they'll quadruple their money. But the average Joe can't be like, oh, I gotta throw $4,000 right now so I can purchase this. I'm like, there's a reason why they like they know.
Yeah, right. And that's like the, oh, it's a little, I think the right word is it's a little demoralizing, because it lowers our morale that we're trying to be in the game, but yet there's
all these hoops.
Yeah, all these hoops that these millionaires and beyond know about, because they have a high net worth, so they get the first taste at what's going on before the rest of us general public gets a taste of. But like these guys earn your leisure. I think so. I'm starting to follow them on Spotify. I'll see if I can hopefully grab like their knowledge, because I think at some point in the little interview they did mention where that's where they're trying to close that gap, by giving free information based on what they do. I think one of the guys, he says he's trading, or he's not necessarily trading, but he's online with his screens for 12 hours a day, just watching the market, seeing things move and whatnot. And they're giving this information for free because that's the best way to, for one, gain trust, but then close the gap between these millionaires that have the upper hand because they get the information first. Which, saying this out loud, it almost sounds like insider trading. Like an underlying, like a gray line of underlying trading where there's. But it does go back to tiers, I guess, status level and whatnot. That's what it seems like. But it's like, damn, it's almost a little insider trade-ish.
Well, I mean,
almost.
I mean, dude, it kind of makes sense because it's like if you kind of understand like this information to a certain extent, like there's always gonna be someone that is trying to get into it, or someone that's like barely getting their feet wet. Or we've been doing this for so let's say 10 years. If we've been doing it for 10 years, the guys that barely been doing it for 1 to 2 years are gonna want to listen to us or kind of pick our brain. So it makes sense. The Puerto Rican gentleman, the tall guy tycoon, he has these strategy Sunday meetings, and he'll be throwing out stocks here that he says that are that he believes are going to blow up, or here or there, or this one's going to be a good one for the week, or we should keep an eye on this one for the week. And it's like, okay, if I invest in it, and then he helps me make money, and then when that guy is going to be going into Dallas or Houston or New York, and I'm in the area, and he's having these meetings where it's like, oh, I've rented out a ballroom. Here are my tickets, or $200 each, and it's like he makes his money off the people that are coming to his show.
Yeah,
and all he had to do was just give a little bit of stock advice on one day out of the week, or have a little group of people that he gives advice to, the gentleman dude from Puerto Rico. He even has these classes because he used to be a professor at a university. So he even has these classes where people will pay to join his little study group for I think it's 100. I don't know if it's $100 for the whole year or how exactly it works. I think it's about $150 for the whole 5 sessions, or being a part of the whole group. And he walks you through the classes, but then he also gives you you're in a special group text kind of thing where he sends you oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this day trading at this time. If you guys want to follow me and follow my moves.
Yeah.
And more often than not, they'll blow up. And because he's I guess he's helping the younger folks out, or the average Joe people out, and makes him get more money when he has these shows and events, because now those guys are spreading the word to other people that don't do it. So it's it's making a little network of I guess spiders or something like that, to where, or a spider. It's making a little spider web to where all the spiders are coming towards him, and he's just making $200 here, $200 here, $200 here the entire time. And I mean, it seems like that's what these guys Earn Your Leisure are doing as well, because they were even brought up that they sold out the Apollo Theater.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
And I was just dude, that's crazy. 2 guys that were teachers, or average Joe people that just started doing trading, and then now they sold out an entire one of the most famous theaters in the U.S.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. I'm trying to log into my Twitter here. Apparently, I don't know my freaking
password.
Yeah, for anything. I was trying to log in, because I have a TV here that I've tried, so I can have my screen set up, and then I have the separate one so I can look up stuff as we're talking. But then apparently I don't know any of my passwords or anything. It's pretty dope. I guess at this point, I'm also so just neck deep in actually trying to. Honestly, I mean, if I'm being honest, my goal is to become a millionaire. How I do it, I'm kind of gauging I'm gauging the routes I'm trying to take to make it happen, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
And it's like because the biggest thing, and the only reason why I want to really is because I'd like to what the heck? I'd like to not work forever. You know,
yeah,
like work in the sense in this pure sense of like having a needing a job. I like what I'm doing now. Like I'm working in healthcare. You know, I'm thinking about so I have my AMT my AMT license.
mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about getting like working to get my paramedic license
Mm-hmm.
eventually. But when I'm in the room with a patient or whatever I'm doing, it's like I'm there because I'm trying to help the person. You know, I'm trying to help the doctor, trying to help the nurses, trying to help the patient themselves.
Yeah,
But it's like it's at the end of the day, it's my choice. I'm not what the way I'm seeing it is like I'm not trying to be there because I have to. You know,
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like in some aspects it's like it's not um it's not too common yet. I think it will become common, especially with this decentralization of like jobs and like and then now with COVID because people can now like telework a lot more than before, right?
mm-hmm.
Than 2019 to now. Um, I think it become a thing, but I think that's one of my goals. Like I there's certain things I like working, I like doing, I like learning, but I'd like to do it at because I want to be there, not because I need a job just to pay the bills and then you know go about my day.
Dude. Like I'm the same way. I've always kind of like told myself, dude, I want to retire when I'm 40, but not like not necessarily like retire from making money. I meant like retire from like having an actual job that I have to like go nine to
Yeah.
five, clock the ticker, and let's get started. But going back to the healthcare that we were talking about, how we were discussing healthcare. Did you
Mhm.
catch the part where they mentioned that how investing in Apple could lead you to a form of how they're advancing in the medical field? Because they brought up the fact that as a country, most of our budget, at a good chunk of our budget goes into uh, to the medical field, like as far as like advances in medicines and all this other stuff. And then
Mhm.
they brought out the idea of how somebody said that, oh, Apple's gonna be the new recording label, and they were like, no, Apple's gonna be the new medical, like, I don't want to say medical insurance, but the way they described it, that they were gonna be the next medical med group in a sense, because
Okay.
like if you think about it, from the start of the Apple Watch 1 to the Apple
Mhm.
Watch 7, it not only counts your calories burned, it counts your heart rate, your blood
Yeah.
oxygen level, it counts all these things that now it's like Apple's receiving all this information, creating your portfolio, and then eventually when you go to the doctor, all this information is already going to be in your doctor's hands by the time you step foot into the room.
Yeah.
And
And there'll be like
it's
data too, like over a certain time span.
exactly, because you've had it for how long, and it knows how you've progressed from, let's say you had it at age 21, and then so they know that, like, oh, from 20 to 30, this is how his health has been either climbing up or climbing down, or he's been getting healthier or he's been getting sicker, and it's all this information just going to be collected. And instead of like that, Apple's going to be taking over in a sense of a whole nother different field. It's not just going to be,
Yeah.
oh, some software technology,
Right. Right.
or
Right.
a music provider.
Yeah.
It's gonna jump into the medical field as well, and we're gonna be. I mean, I could see that eventually
Yeah.
we're just gonna be having our own portfolios where it's like we know our blood type, blood oxygen, how much, what are we diabetic, or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. How well we're sleeping and you know stuff like that too.
Exactly.
That's crazy. So I did not catch that. It's interesting to me, but I have been paying attention because I have been in a situation where this person comes in with a freaking watch and it says my heart's doing this. I said what? I like no care. Like I said what? Your watch said what? It's like yeah, my watch said this, and so we go in there, we go do an actual EKG, we put the stickers on, and it's accurate. And I was like, what in the world? Like this happened. Man, was it earlier this year or late last year? It was within the last 12 months. I can't remember when it happened, but because it's happened, because that was, and this is a specific time that I just remember because I was blown away. I was like, your watch said what? Your watch is telling you like what? because I use analog watch. I don't have Apple Watch. I personally don't care to own a digital watch. I don't want one. That's just me. I don't want one. Um, maybe one day I will get one. Maybe, but for now, as long as I'm spending my own money and stuff like that, like me personally, and I think 9 out of 10 people that I know have one. It wasn't actually till like this month that I've met a couple people that don't have them. Other than that, everybody has them. Doctors, nurses, some of the other workers that I know. It's a normal thing, which is fine. It's been since the Apple Watch 1 came out, right? And now we're at what you said we're at number 7.
We're like at 7, yeah.
Yeah, so let's say 7. Going on 8 soon. It's gonna happen, right? We know it's gonna happen. But yeah, no, I said I was like, what the heck is going on? And I didn't even think about like what you're talking about, where it's more of a meta thing of
collecting data
of long-term, collecting data. I knew it could. Every Apple phone comes with a health app. So like I knew that, and I like it because it gets a generalization. Because even without a watch, as long as you have your phone in your pocket, it still gathers more or less how much steps you've walked based on the space that you're covering. Kind of geographically, kind of like just decipher. Well, this is the average walking space and whatever. So like I am aware of some of those things. Cameron Haynes, he's a bow hunter. I don't know if you know about him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But like he posts like his health stats. I think he has just a general like I'll call it an e-watch, electronic watch, digital watch. He posts his data, which is pretty cool because like he's proving that he ran freaking 32 miles today, like whatever, like
he carried an elk, like a 500-pound elk down
just put on his back and walk with his son. So I've known about it, but it's just so crazy like how accurate. And then you bring up these points like, man, like that's true. I did not think about it where like Apple's going to be able to just I guess the best way to put it is like they're going to be able to create
database,
a sub company of a healthcare database.
Well, that's what I want to know too, because it's like I want to know if it's going to remain as one like a mothership, or if it's going to be like
full of Facebook.
Yeah, and be like a Facebook and then a Meta kind of thing. Yeah, like that's kind of what I want to know, because it's like there's other stocks that I follow that are like, as far as I'm in the medical field, where they're either companies that create products or electronic equipment that go into hospitals, or companies that are trying to find advancements in certain diseases, or however it goes. But like I just want to know, is it going to be because it seems like it's something that could happen within the next 5 to 10 years. And is it just gonna be a whole mothership of everything stays together under Tim Cook and Apple, or is it gonna be like, are we gonna have like Apple and then Apple Medicine, and is that gonna be its own company within the bigger company that we can work into or invest in and all that?
Yeah, it's wild. So to stay on this like digital track, so today I had a day off, so we're out, just enjoying, really enjoying it. It was cold and like overcast, but it wasn't rainy. It was like it was like 60 today. It was 55, 60 degrees. So it was nice, just overcast. But went to this aquarium, and they had a little VR set up there to go swim with humpback whales. And one of my friends, they wanted to do it. So I was like, oh, I'm down. But I was down because I was curious. Like, I don't have I have friends that have, they have the Oculus, they have one or whatever. They've had it for a little while. So I'm aware of like the technology existing. I just, I'm just not interested. I'm interested in creating products for it. I'm not interested in consuming it yet. Right. Anywho, so I'm like, man, like I'm curious. So we go in, we have to pay for like the ticket, because it's like a 12-minute little like thing. And so we go in there, and then so you sit in this little egg thing, and you put on the glasses, and they say, hey, thumbs up when you're ready. You give them a thumbs up, and then you start. And if they had little vents of air that could push you, you would think you're in a damn virtual roller coaster, bro.
That's what I was wondering. I
You
was like,
kind of
is it some
start, you
kind of
kind of
like 4D
like,
thing?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you put your little goggles on, you're in your own little eggshell thing, and then they start it. The screen on the goggles starts, and then the egg like lifts you. Your feet are already off the ground, but like it gives you the sensation of a lift.
Mm-hmm.
And then as the video starts, you kind of track in and you start the little adventure. And I was like, man, like this is so amazing. All you needed, because it was like, again, it was ocean based. So it was like all you needed is like something to give you a few splashes of water, and then like a little air vents the way Disney does it, to give you the sensation of an actual roller coaster. But the movement along with the VR, it was interesting. I was like, oh dude, like this is pretty dope. Like I want an egg, like this is pretty cool. Like this is actually pretty cool. I mean, obviously it's probably expensive, as far as like owning those types of things, but it made me more optimistic as far as going back to investing. That's what that dude, my gears have just been running, like, leading up to this conversation. And I wasn't sure when I was going to tell this little story of me experiencing the VR, but 12 minutes, bro. And it was like, this is pretty cool. Like, this is really, like, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And I think that's going to be it might be a little addicting, it'll get to that point of like, oh, wow, I want more of this, to where I do buy an Oculus at some point.
Dude, like here's also the thing. It's like, now that there's like an actual thing, it's like these people that go into this, like the Oculus or the Metaverse and all that other stuff, that it's like they're talking and they kind of brought up this idea that it's like, you're gonna have these artists now that it's like, oh hey, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm gonna go to the Tiesto concert. It's at 7. It starts at 7 o'clock. It's like, oh, where's it at? Oh, it's just in the Metaverse. So it's like, you're just gonna put your goggles.
It's in this location of the Metaverse.
Yeah, but you're just gonna put your goggles on and you're gonna be in that area. And it's like, so now these artists are just gonna be doing a track or playing their stuff from their house. Don't even have to get up or go anywhere, and they're gonna have millions of people within their crowd. And it's how much money is it gonna be bringing in? And like, is it just like less work, more money, or is it gonna be like, oh, obviously we're gonna charge less because there's like a lot more people can come now?
Yeah, more people can come, more people can show up. This is one thing I want to finish at this point before we. So yeah, no, I think these are all valid questions, and I want to jump into the employment side. Eventually, I'm gonna write it down so I don't fucking forget. So I will forget. Because that's the stuff I think about. Because when I was playing music, and I was with Eddie and stuff, and we went to Nashville a couple of times, and I got to go to what's it called? It's a big convention. It's a big musician convention, primarily guitar stuff, but they have in-ear monitors, they have bass gear. It's all the new gear coming in for that next year, right? And in one of them, I think it was Kelsey Ballerini. She was just starting. Now she's freaking star. Because she even has a collaboration with freaking Halsey. But I think it was her. And we got to hear her at a little it was an interview-ish type thing, and she talks about like her, and I think it was her and her producer and like another friend or brother or something. Between the three of them, they created her first record. And if you hear the record, it's really good, it's really well done. My question is then, well, what about all these musicians that need jobs? Right? And that's where I come out. That's where I come to it, where, because the answer that I've heard from business people is like, well, you just have to adapt. Like even Gary Vee says, like whenever you get replaced, it's up to you to then figure out a way to become relevant again or learn a new skill, basically, is what he said as well. I'm like, man, well, that sucks. Imagine being good at something, especially like something like music. Like you're good, you've been playing for 20 years, and then you just get the rug pulled under you because now we've entered this metaverse. We've been to this metaverse.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing.
It's the balance. It's just the balance of like the way I see things, because being a musician, it's like we already don't get paid a lot of money. As like a touring musician for what it's worth.
I mean, it's kind of the same topic with the what is it? Those self checkout lanes as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? Like they'll have like 6 to 8 of them, and it's much faster for the average Joe to go in there, check out his stuff, pay by himself, and go in, go out. And really, you just need one person. When you think about it, those are 6 different like lanes that could have been done, that could have involved 6 different workers.
Yeah.
But instead, we're getting rid of the 6, keeping the 1, or getting rid of the 5, keeping the 1, and that one guy can manage 9 stations.
Yeah. And particularly Walmart, because they're very good at it, cutting personnel. It's like, and now it's just now you have, the bigger the Walmart, the more self checkouts you have, and then that's it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And like, I guess my opinion is I'm for the worker, but I'm also for innovation. So it's like, well, fuck, like it's a limbo thing, and I feel like I always feel like I put myself in the middle, because it's like, well, I can see both sides of the argument, and it's like, well, we're also human, it's like, it kind of sucks to an extent. So going back to like music, like concerts in the metaverse, I looked it up. So Ariana Grande's already had a concert on Fortnite. I don't know if you had heard about that yet.
I did hear about Travis Scott having one. I knew that Travis Scott had one.
That he's the one. Okay, I know he's another one that. So I had her, because I knew there's another artist. I couldn't remember who. This is, so I gotta save this. I gotta save this link so I can put it on the show notes, because we're talking about it. So it's Ariana Grande's Fortnite concert opens up the metaverse. So she did it. I'm trying to see if there's a time of when she did it. Does last major latest? When was this at? When was this thing written? Doesn't even give a day when it was written. Yeah, so Travis Scott. Okay, so I can't remember who else had done one, because I know there was someone else. So I guess he was the one. So Ariana Grande did it. She even looked like it says the article saying that she even looked like a Fortnite character. I'm more curious of when this was. And so here we go. Yeah. So Travis Scott's in-game performance was seen by 12.3 million live viewers. The Ariana Grande event is likely to top that and persuade many more artists to engage in the metaverse. Damn, it doesn't give me a day when it was written. Anyways, yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm all for it, because especially like the great artists who's on SoundCloud only, because they don't have a record deal and they're not as popular as Ariana Grande, but if their music's good, then it'll give them a chance to at least have that exposure.
Well, I mean, just imagine, I guess kind of imagine, I know it was a little bit even delayed, but you know how like everybody goes, or like a lot of people go to those like the EDCs and the Ultras and all that other music festivals, right?
Yep,
like in 2020, because of COVID, they had the virtual Rave-a-thon. Like, what would have happened if everyone had VR headsets?
Yeah.
And it was like, you're like, okay, yeah, the virtual Rave-a-thon was like, you'd go to the YouTube channel or whatever, and you would see it like just on a screen.
You would see it, but VR. Have you used any type of VR yet? An Oculus or anything?
I've used the Oculus every once in a while. But I'm also too scared, because it's like, I know some of those games are what they have there. I'm like, I'm going to hit something, or I'm going to break something.
Dude, there's videos.
I know myself.
It's like when the Wii came out and like people were throwing like remotes to the TV and like.
Yeah. Well, there's that video I saw on Instagram, or it might have been like a TikTok that got uploaded to Instagram, that it's the old dude, and he's doing the boxing VR, and he's boxing, and then his grandkid gets there, and then he just socks him in the face. And it's like, like, one, it's messed up, because the parent, instead of watching the kid, he's like, oh, this is gonna be something funny, and I'm gonna get it on tape. And I'm like, which it is funny, good content, but it's like, dude, that's something I would do. It's like one of those Call of Duty games or whatever, and you would have to walk. I'm gonna hit the wall. I'm gonna trip over something, and I'm gonna get hurt. So I'm like, I'm just too scared of the VR.
Have you seen Ready Player One yet? I mean, it's been out like a long time ago, but have you seen it?
Yes and yes, because I remember watching it. I remember the dude like going in there with the whole goggle, like I remember the whole goggle theme, and then that whole I guess apparatus that he would get.
Yeah, Yeah.
And he would run into. I remember the movie, but I don't remember like in great detail.
Okay.
But I do remember watching it. Like they had also what was it? It was like an RV kind of thing that they were getting into or something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah. But one of the friends
I
from the
remember the movie.
Metaverse had the RV. So yeah. So I had never seen it literally until last week. I think I had a day off, so Mark Zuckerberg had just at this point, Mark Zuckerberg had just released about the Metaverse, about changes to Meta. And then I had seen like his little Metaverse like trailer about like what he envisions the Metaverse to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I listened to a Tim Ferriss podcast where he's talking with I think his name is Chris Dixon, and I have to look it up. He's talking with Naval Ravikant is the other guy's name. Tim Ferriss. And so the title is The Wonders of Web3, How to Pick the Right Hill to Climb, Finding the Right Amount of Crypto Regulation, and the Untapped Potential of NFTs. And so this is how long is it? It's 2 hours and 31-minute like podcast episode, and they just deep dive into everything. They dive deeper into the stuff that we're just kind of trickling over, right? Everything from crypto, NFTs, Web3. That's the first podcast where I heard about Web3, and then I started doing more research on YouTube and stuff. Mm-hmm. But anyways, Tim Ferriss brings up, Ready Player One, and they're like, yes, that's the direction we're heading, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, well, damn. And I was already intrigued by the podcast. I'm like, well, let me watch it. And I'm like, this is freaking crazy. And then swimming with humpback whales today, like I'm like, this is even crazier. Like, this is freaking wild. Like I don't know. It makes me optimistic about like technology, because I do like. Again, I'm just reiterating, and I'm walking all over myself, but like, I just like these new things that are coming out. They're pretty dope. They're pretty freaking cool. It's cool that they exist.
Dude, here's this idea that I just thought about. Just because like I have my TV on and it's muted right now, but it's like the basketball game that's going on right now on ESPN, and then now I'm starting to think like, if we're having these live concerts, we're having all these like other virtual experiences. I'm like, how long would it take, or at what point in our lives are we going to get into where they're going to be virtual football or like sporting events?
Dude, imagine. So are you watching college basketball or are you watching pro basketball?
It's pro basketball. It's the NBA.
So imagine like, going to a Spurs game. I'm going to go to a Spurs game and just freaking put on your VR set, have like a decent surround sound, and just be there.
Dude, well, that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, when they did it, when they were like in the bubble or whatever because of COVID, it's like, yeah, you could do that. You would they would purchase your seat, or you would get in the seat or whatever. But what it was like, it's like this, like what we're doing right now. I would be in front of my computer, my camera would be on, and then what my screen is projecting right now would be on the seat. But you're just doing that. You're just watching the game on your computer or watching it on your screen, and it's like you're a part of the audience or whatever. Yeah. But you're not getting that camaraderie experience where to be like, me and you, let's go to a Spurs game, and we're sitting there together at the actual stadium and all that. But if we're in the actual virtual world, we're like, oh, hey, Andy, I'm gonna go. I want to get a ticket to a Spurs game. You want to go? It's like, oh yeah, and you're in Chicago and I'm over here, and I'm like, what seat are you getting? Oh, I'm getting C3. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be in C4 next to you, and it's like we're both there virtually. I can like go to you or like C2 right next to me, and I can talk to you even though you're not next to me.
Yeah.
And dude, think about it. What if like we're at that point, like you don't think as a sports venue owner, and I'm gonna get some kind of revenue because you're coming to my game or whatever, even though it's virtually, you're still coming into it. And there's a certain amount of capacity. But what is it to say that because it's in the meta world and you can create so much more, how about you double capacity? You bring down the ticket price, double capacity, and you're in a sense going to be doubling up your net worth or your daily profit.
Your gross income. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's the first thing that I would think of if I'm one of these like sports owners. I'm doubling up. If I can fit 72,000, I'm bringing it up to 140,000. And even if I have to take off $10 off a ticket, okay, I'm bringing $10 off a ticket, but I'm also doubling up in actual people. And I don't have to pay for alcohol because more than likely these guys are probably just gonna be like, oh hey, I'm gonna go to the fridge real quick and get my beer.
Dude, I just imagine the funniest thing. So me and you were at this freaking game. It's a Spurs game, and just getting tanked. Like virtual reality getting tanked. Like we're drinking in real life and just
Yeah.
drinking, watching the game. That's the funniest thing, dude. That's so. At least to me, I guess because I can picture myself drunk, so I'm like
Dude,
that would be hilarious. And I don't have to drink it. There's no drinking and driving. There's no Uber. There's I don't have to worry about like getting in trouble. There's no PI. Like, hey,
no,
I'm home.
nothing.
I'm home.
Yeah. And you're getting all your experiences of actually going to a game and all that.
Yeah.
But I'm also, it's like, that kind of also makes me think about like the workers too. Are we at a certain point just like, are we gonna have less of them now because I don't know, like if it's gonna be the
Oh yeah.
duration of the game, or like
It's
how
the
is it
same
gonna affect
argument.
the workers, or even then the
It
stadium
is.
workers? What happens to
Yeah.
them?
Yeah. No, dude. This is stuff that like it puts me. It judges and tests my moral compass because again, like talking about it's like I think we're both pretty animated. We're both like, man, this is pretty cool. We're watching this game, but then we're not actually there. So now this worker, popcorn, get your popcorn, hot dogs, $2 hot dog. Like there's no need. Yeah, now it's gonna be just a monito there just for the feel of the game.
Yeah,
You don't need it anymore.
dude. And then think
Unless the
about
hot
this.
dogs, unless the hot dogs an NFT, now we're just opening doors up.
Well, how are we not about this? Like, think about it. It's if it is our avatar in a sense. Like, how many times like people in like Call of Duty and Fortnite and all these other video games, they spend all this amount of money to make their avatar a lot cooler. How many people are in the like legitimately? And there's going to be a good amount of people, if not 50%, and if not at least like at least 50% of the people are more than likely going to see the monito with the popcorn guy pop it up, coming up over here and be like, oh, you know what? I want my avatar to have popcorn. So when people are watching us or watching me and you watch the game, they're gonna be seeing us like, oh, they're eating popcorn. But are we really eating popcorn outside? No. We already said that we're getting hammered, drunk. So it's like, or what if we're spending twice as much? What if we're spending twice as much for beer? Because like, let's say like, oh, hey, I want my avatar to have I want the people to know that I'm drinking at home. So I want my avatar to have a beer. And how much are they gonna charge for that beer to be on your avatar, like holding, like your avatar holding that beer?
Yeah.
So it's like you're paying for your 6-pack that you're getting drunk on, and then you're paying for that beer to be there. I'm like, dude,
it's crazy. It's crazy to think about, bro. It's so crazy to think about because now we're just opening doors to possibility. That's all we're doing now. Now we're it's like, oh, like what about this and what about this? Like, how can we keep the workers working? But it would still be VR essentially.
Yeah, so
that's so crazy, bro.
I mean, that's just that's what I'm starting to think about, and I'm like, holy crap, like yeah, this could happen.
So 12 hours ago, there's another article. It says Justin Bieber is going into the metaverse for a virtual concert. Watch the trailer. I'm not gonna watch the trailer. So he's going super meta. How's that? Let's see. I'll put this one in the show notes too, and I'll send both these links to you, Freddy, just so you can take a look at them whenever.
Sweet.
See. So, he'll perform.
Just so crazy.
So it says Waves technology will also enable audiences to engage with the Bieber experience by giving them the chance to appear live on stage alongside the singer during dedicated fan moments and influence his performance and environments in real time. So, like, does that mean they're gonna? Because it says give him a chance to appear live on stage, influence his performance. So does it mean like if you're there, you can give him like I'm labeling it this, but like you give him like coins to like boost his like performance. Like
I guess the way I kind of see it is like you're paying an additional fee to be brought up to the stage to bring up either encouragement or like to give, I guess, like your request or your song request or whatever.
No.
So it's like, and there's gonna be people to like if the general virtual viewing experience is like $35, and then to be on stage is like $100. There's gonna be people throwing up $100 just to be like, oh hey, Justin Bieber heard my voice and he
Yeah.
heard what I wanted to say.
Yeah. Well, dude, like we were talking about, because um, people that I know have people that they know that have made their fortune on OnlyFans and things of that, things
Yeah.
with these new apps and stuff that come out, right? And and there's a question that one of them brought. I forgot what the question was, but my answer was, well, it's the same thing as like it's really FOMO, fear of missing out,
Mm-hmm.
enough to where you're willing to spend, $30 a month or whatever the subscription
Subscription
is.
fee.
Yeah, whatever it is, and you're willing to pay for that person when obviously you can find a lot of stuff for free, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, but even when I said like FOMO, it's like, man, like sometimes I think I have FOMO. And we're going back to like stocks and like all these things, trying to get in, trying to buy a dip or whatever company we're interested in, stuff like that, and trying to gauge that. It's like, man, that's some real FOMO, and like looking at this, just because this concert it's actually tomorrow, bro. It's the 8th. It's by the time people see this, it's gonna be done and over with. And maybe there'll be more news about it at
And
that
I
point.
guarantee you that's the number one topic on Twitter tomorrow. It's definitely going to be right there. As soon as the concert starts, that's definitely going to be the number one trending thing on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then there goes everybody's little, because they're just going to have the little bit of FOMO, that little nugget of missing out, and they're going to be like, well, oh man, my friend was at the concert. He was there in the virtual concert. Why can't I go? Or I wanted to be a part of it.
And don't get me wrong, like I guess to lay it out there for me is that I don't think this is a good or a bad thing. It's just we're just like because I know they're like, if there was a Gary Allen like virtual reality, I'd probably pay money. You know what I mean? Like if there's Gary Allen or like Rascal Flatts doing like a reunion tour or something, like I have my vices too, right?
Yeah,
Like I definitely have. We all have. I think I can argue that we all have our vices that we're willing what we're willing to do when we're willing to do it. So I guess I just don't want this information to be mishandled, thinking that we're just not human.
It's something that would never do it. No.
Yeah, exactly. No. We all have our vice.
I mean, it's like that same thing that you were talking about, like with the OnlyFans thing, where it's like you follow these girls on Instagram or whatever. Like everybody does it. Everybody follows the influencers or whatever, and then they post these risque photos, and it's like it leaves you with wanting more. Yeah. So it makes you want to join and get their subscription or whatever, because it's like, man, I wanted to see that. Why couldn't I see that? Oh well, I guess I have to pay. And now it's like, well, do you want to miss out on what you could have seen, or are you gonna swallow? Or are you gonna cough up the $12 or $15 or whatever?
Yeah, whatever it is a month. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it kind of makes sense, because it's like, dude, like, think about it. What is it? It's not Gary Allen, but who's the dude that had like a residency in Vegas? That
there's Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks
had one. Yeah.
Like let's say like Garth Brooks. It's like, how many people are like, oh, dude, I can't go to Vegas to go to a Garth Brooks concert. Oh, but he's having one in the Metaverse. Shit.
Yeah, dude. Because Garth Brooks tries to create like his own like streaming services and all that, he's gonna be that one. He's not gonna be the only one, but he is gonna be that artist that like initiates. So I feel like everything he's done, he's just been early to the game, and this might be one thing where if he's early, he might win. To create blockchain, like Garth Brooks blockchain. Like I think he might win at that, because again, he created his own streaming services. You can't find any of his actual original music on Spotify or YouTube. You have to go to a streaming service.
Really?
Yeah, look it up. Yeah, try looking it up. Type in Garth Brooks. You won't find anything that's him actually singing on YouTube or Spotify. I think he has a couple collabs on Spotify with like his wife, with Trisha Yearwood. But there's nothing, you can't get like Thunder Rolls or Friends in Low Places. You can't get any of those sung by him, performed by his band.
Yeah, because there's none of his albums only appeared on like George Jones or appeared on like.
They're all features. They're not.
Yeah, they're not. They're
It's
not
not
yet
him. They're not
showing.
his music. Yeah. You have to go. And I don't know what his streaming is called. If you type in Garth Brooks, you'll probably find what his streaming service is called. But yeah, no, like he's been one of the ones that's, I think he's been early, but I think given Web3 and blockchain, I think he would actually win in this case.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like he stole the Mayweather thing or like the Canelo thing now because Canelo pretty much copied it off of Mayweather. But it's like he got rid of the boxing promoter and opened up his own promoting company. So it's like now you have to, oh, you want my services, you have to contract it through me. So it's like instead of having like that gentleman that would make the fights like, oh, you're gonna fight this, you two are gonna fight here. It's like no, if you want me to fight, if I'm gonna fight him, you're gonna have to go through me only, or like there's no more, like it cuts out the middleman in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that's what he's doing. That's what now Canelo is doing as well. And it's like it's also kind of the same thing that now Garth Brooks did with his own streaming services. And I mean, this probably could all be also connected to the virtual online metaverse. That it's like you're gonna have your own individual concert and every time or individual platform, and you're gonna have to pay for that too.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Going back to, just because I frankly I just want to change topics rapidly, but kind of retract a little bit. Do you think when I don't know what's the better question. Either question, I mean, it's very out there. When do you think Bitcoin will hit 100,000, and do you think it'll hit 70 by the end of the year?
Well, okay. So going back to that original topic where what made me want to buy the BT contract was because when I was listening to this guy, the tall guy tycoon, he mentioned that Bitcoin was gonna hit 100,000 by the end of the year, and like either not necessarily by the end of the year or by like the start of January, it was gonna be at 100,000. And I'm not saying it might not get there, but can I see Bitcoin definitely being over 70 by Christmas time or being at 70 by Christmas time? Yeah, because dude, it blew up literally from once it hit that 60 mark. And what right now it's probably at 60, 59, 60. It's right there. It's still in
It's
that
at
mark.
60 right now. I actually just pulled it up on I use crypto.com, so
Yeah.
it's at 60 right now, 60, 100, 60,000.
Yeah, so it's still within the 60,000 bubble. So when it broke the 60, it went from 60 to 65 around there, or 64 or 64,000 around there. And I'm like, dude, if that happened within the first couple of days, how are we not to say that it's like once it does the base mark that we were talking about
correction.
again?
Yeah, like it
Yeah.
corrects a little bit.
Once it corrects itself back to like it's gonna correct itself to 60 today. I can see it by Friday being at 63, 64.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, 75 does seem like a real reasonable uh price per coin by December. And also maybe I am a little biased because I really do want it to hit the 100, because if it hits 100,000, my contract goes up. So am I a little biased? Yeah, I'm definitely a little biased.
No, yeah, it's fair. It's fair. I mean, and that's another thing is like, I guess to continue this, and just for listeners, whether they listen to it when I release it or whether they listen to this, 10 years from now, it's like, it's like, don't get us wrong. Like we're trying to make moves here. We are trying to make moves. Just, we're also mindful of the game. We're not just outright, just making.
Dude, because I will tell you this. Like, I mean, even though it's not in the Bitcoin realm, last week when Elon sold what was it, $1 million? Yeah, he sold a lot of his stocks. Dude, I texted one of my buddies like, do you think the stock is going down? Because because I'm invested in Tesla. It's like, would this have been like something that I'm like, oh, maybe I should get out now? And that way when it drops down because of all the shares that he sold, and then I'll jump back in when it's at a lower price. But it did bring a little bit of a fear in me because I'm like, dude, why is this going on? Is he doing this because to make himself look better? Is he doing this for tax purposes? What is what are the reasonings for this drastic change?
Yeah. Yeah, according to Reuters, I guess the final count was 930 million in shares is what he sold.
Because granted, yeah, because of COVID, Tesla just blew up, and it's continuing to blow up. And honestly, I could see them doing
He
another.
sold 934,000 shares, bro. That's so crazy.
Yeah,
That's so much. Sorry, what were you saying? I cut you off.
but that's another that they're another stock that I could see. Maybe not necessarily at the end of the year, but if it does hit 1,500 per share again, or anywhere close to that, I can see that there's going to be another split for the consumer to buy in or invest more into the product.
What have you? I feel like I'm gonna try to Google it. I feel like I had seen potential a potential stock split for Tesla.
Well, because it already happened once, and I
Yeah,
can
I
see
know.
it
Yeah,
happening.
I remember. Yeah, you told me about it. This is what 2019 when it happened.
Yeah, I think it was either 2019 or early March of 2020, somewhere around there. I know it was still COVID time because I was at home, or I was working from home when it happened.
Was there a split in August? It says announced a 5-for-1 split mid-August 2020. That was a different one.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the
Okay,
one that
so
I
so there
remember.
hasn't so I thought there was a new one, but there hasn't been a new one. I thought I had seen something maybe on Twitter about potential of doing another one, which is what you're talking about, which makes sense. But
Because at this
nothing
point right
official
now,
yet.
it's so high that how many people are actually going to be like, oh, hey, I got about, what?
Just drop
Good.
10 grand for
Just
10
drop
shares. Like
10.
Jesus
Yeah, just
Christ.
dude. You're buying. It's like, oh, do I buy a new Nissan Sentra, like brand new off the lot? Like, I'm over exaggerating, like, but one of those like
Yeah.
cheaper, like those
Right, right.
cheaper cars that you buy for your kid or something like that. Do I buy my kid a car for 15 grand, or do I buy 15 shares of Tesla? Yeah, you know what? He can walk. That's pretty much where you're at. It's ridiculous.
That's so funny. That's crazy, bro. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
It's more than a car. It's literally more than a car payment.
Yeah.
It's so wild. The the one that I wanted to really get into was the Square stock that they talked about.
Yeah, yeah. I have them locked in. Not I don't have anything purchased for Square,
Well,
but I
well,
have been
that's
keeping my eye
the
on them.
that's the one that I was telling you at the very beginning that I was keeping my eye on because I did the 10-30, the 10-20-30 percentage,
Mhm.
and right now it's kind of closer. I think when I wrote it down on my desk that I had it at 221 is going to be the 20% drop off. That it's dropped from its peak. It's dropped at least 20%, and that's probably a good time to buy. And I'm really thinking about it. And what really piqued my interest was when they mentioned that it was going to be the new J.P. Morgan. And
Interesting.
and when they talked about it, just because I'm so invested in JP Morgan as well, that I've seen the growth that they've had, that it's like I want to say, uh, does it have it? Yeah, it's pretty much tripled what I've purchased. Like from when I started investing in to now, it's pretty
Yeah.
much tripled uh my value of it, or it's tripled my stocks when I initially bought it. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, dude, is this going to be one that it might be the same thing that like it's just going to be consistently growing and growing and growing, that it's just one of those like those sure and sturdy stocks that that are not really like they'll have their downturns, their little drops, but you're not talking about like, oh, it's going to go from 100 to 30 in like 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just crash out.
Because like that's kind of where I'm at right now, especially with like stocks. Like like, do I always get that little itch to try and find that new one that's gonna blow up? And I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, but I like being more assured of what's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah, yeah, it makes
like
sense.
trying to just get rid of the volatility.
Yeah, I get rid of as much as you can. Yeah,
Yeah.
at the very least. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Makes total sense. Trying to see if I have anything else here. So yeah, well, I saw that. I guess the most. I guess the all time. I guess is it all time high? Yeah, I guess it is all time high. So all time high is what 1,200 that it's reached so far
Which one?
for Tesla. That's
Ooh,
what I've been able to find. I think 1,200, roughly 1,200 is the highest, the all time high I found.
no, because wasn't it like
Because it probably reached higher like intraday. It probably reached higher than 1,200, but one of the locked in times.
yeah? Because it says 1200, but this is like I don't think this is accurate necessarily because I don't think it takes the split into account because I know it was uh what do you call it? Because it split five. Yeah, because if it split five ways, it did the five split, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it was like 2100. Where was that?
See, that's where I'm just not like I just don't have enough information to know. Um, 'Cause I can see what you're saying, but I mean, just based on this though, it just shows the 1,200, 1,229 is November 4th, according to the Robinhood app, and then
Yeah, yeah,
On
because it's
Yahoo.
no, because it's not taking into account what do you call it? It's not taking it into account the split because I guess like I googled it right now just to make sure and off a CNBC uh article it does mention that it was down around 480 a share for more than the 2000 before the 5-to-1 split. So it was more than $2,000 per share before it hit that 5-to-1 split.
Got okay, okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, so it's not taken into account when it was yeah, because it's
The actual okay, that makes sense. I get what you're saying.
yeah, it hit the record of 2,295, and then from there it did the split.
The split now it's where it's at now.
Yeah,
That's
and then
wild.
so it dropped down to like 400 something, and then from that 400, it's now back up to the 1,200. So that's what I'm telling you. Like, dude, if they did that when it hit 2 grand, like, do I see another split possibly happening?
Right, yeah.
How many companies right now can we say are worth over a grand
There's
per
not a
share?
lot, dude. Because not even freaking uh, because Apple's at what 300 and something. Where Facebook's at 340. Meta Facebook's at 340. Um, I mean Walmart's a pretty popular one, 142. Apple's at 153. We're talking.
Mm.
I'm just giving like closing times for today. Today's the 17th, just for the listeners, but
Hey,
like that's crazy.
I got you the top five stocks shares per or stock price. Yeah, stocks per share.
The
I got you.
share talking about the shares, the price per share.
Yeah, the price per share.
Okay,
I got you the top five right now.
okay, go.
At number five, we got Brooks Holding at 2,200. At number four, we got Alphabet Inc.
Google.
Stock price is 2,754.
That's right. They're freaking high. I was thinking about buying some. Anyways, continue.
Amazon at number three with 3,325. NVR stock price 5,180. And at number one, Berkshire Hathaway. And I mean, it says that 433,000. But
433,000.
yeah, that's the one that's kind of like it's bugging me out. I'm like, is it taking into account everything? I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to find
Well, there's
BRK.
like several like ETFs like through Berkshire.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think I have a feeling the Berkshire one is taking into account all their
Well, no, they're because they're separate tickers. So Berkshire A is 426,000.
Well, actually, yeah. And then this one that's Berkshire Hathaway's right now. I don't know if you can see it. Oh,
Go the other way. There you go. Yeah, that one.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
Berkshire B's at 281.
dude. And then here's this. Look at the volume of traffic: 1,796. Like that is so low. Like in comparison to the volume of traffic Tesla sees a day. Like just to throw it out there,
Yeah.
31,440 or yeah, 300,444,536. Like if you're not talking about the 1% of the 1%, that's literally right there. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is wild.
$500,000 per share. Get out of here.
Damn.
Dude, that's wild. I mean, but yeah, that's I mean,
That's just where we're at.
yeah. I mean, I'm be honest. I do hope there is another split. I mean,
oh yeah, I'll actually get in on this one. You told me about the first one, and I don't have any like guilt on my like for me because this is part of the game, right? This is part of the game of investing and whatever. So I have like it doesn't actually. What bothers me more is not getting into Bitcoin like in 2013, 2010,
Bro, forget 2013. Why didn't we get into Bitcoin when we got our stimmy? Because at the time of the stimmy, it was worth $1,200.
Yeah.
So if we would have just put our stimmy check into Bitcoin,
oh my gosh,
we would have been at 60K right now and sitting pretty and being like, "Hey, Andy, when are you gonna buy your Tesla?" Like,
yeah.
I'm just gonna wait another month.
Mm-hmm. Ah, dude. I'm looking into real estate right now, so I'm really far away from my goal is to pay off my truck. The next, I think it's I think I have 2.5 years, 3 years left. I think I'm gonna say 3, but I'm looking into real estate.
Dude, I mean that's a whole nother thing on its own because it's like, granted, I've been recently looking into renting a house. Like I wanted to get a house, like a small little. I wanted to find a small little house kind of thing, and then to have enough space for like me and my dog and all that shit. And,
yeah.
And because dude, a 3-bedroom house for one person is just huge.
Yeah.
But like even here in the valley, the average price that I've seen is we're talking about like between 1,500 a month to 1,700 a month, and that alone is difficult for a single person on a one. Like it's like you have to automatically have some kind of
income.
Yeah, a dual income in a sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, aren't we anticipating a housing crash pretty soon as well?
Is that I was going to ask you anyways if you have any idea on what the crash is going to be if this does happen in 2024, 2025.
Well, because
I mean, is the housing that inflated again? Like, as bad as it was in 2008, where like, I don't know. I mean, it's a genuine question. I think it's a good question, but I don't know. Let's see what the internet says.
Yeah, because I kind of Googled it right now as well, just because I want to see it. But like the housing market that happened in 2008 was more due to the increase in loans and the type of loans that they brought out, right?
Yeah, because they weren't doing like credit checks, and they weren't they were just having people sign for the quota, and these things weren't getting paid. They weren't getting paid.
And if anything, what I see is this. The only thing I can see that's possible with this crash happening is that, if anything, the value of it has gone so high that not enough people are being able to purchase it. And if that, in a sense, could cause it to crash because no one's buying.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is Dave Ramsey. Have you heard of Dave Ramsey? He's a finance guy.
He sounds familiar. But
he's an old gentleman. He has like a show, Dave Ramsey show, and all this stuff. And he does a lot of finance. And he's very pro like get rid of your debt before you like do other things, even if that means like eating maruchan soups. I the title is will the stock no this is what I'm looking this is not what I'm looking for. Because the question was, will there be a crash in 2021? There's not gonna be a crash in 2021 because we have been recovering since COVID, the COVID closing of the world. So he is considering the Corona closing crash, which it did. I mean, the world shut down for freaking a while. 2021. I don't care about 2021. I'm worried about past.
No, I mean, the article that I found also does mention that the housing market is unlikely to crash in 2022.
Yeah, I don't see. There's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing yet. So I have no idea. I don't know how the housing market's doing to think that they might be the culprit again.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy because
know.
like I've kind of starting to see that there's people that like I know of a gentleman that I know pretty much. He has a 3-bedroom house. His mortgage is somewhere around 11 like around $1,200 a month.
Mm-hmm.
The mortgage. But because he's going to move away, he wants to rent it out. And he's more than likely he's finding people to rent it out for $1,600 a month. Which more than likely, I mean, I'm pretty sure he'll find somebody to pay that, or some family that wants to be in that area to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like these guys, like it's ridiculous. Like most of these guys are having $1,100 mortgages and they're flipping them around for rent at $1,600. And you're talking about you're making $500 a month just for nothing.
Yeah, that's your profit. Yeah, that's the profit, which I can see, and I'm not anti like making a profit. I just don't know what I'm willing. Like, I don't know how much time I'm willing to risk a $1,600 because until he gets those renters, he's gonna have to keep paying that $1,100 mortgage, by himself. Yeah. Plus wherever he's gonna move to or whatever house he's gonna buy next. It's like unless the only potential rational way to do this would be to have a renter in place as you're moving out, so then you transition, you don't have to worry about any incurred cost of the rent and the mortgage for that house, because I mean that's what you're waiting on. I mean, if the house doesn't seem to be worth $1,600 a month, then he'll I think you're right, he'll find somebody, but he's gonna be waiting a while. They'll be waiting a while before they find that person.
But even if we're looking into investing in actual like real estate, how do we know? Like it's kind of one of those things that it's like, I understand that the amount of work that you put into the home to build it and make it, I guess, build its equity in a sense, mm-hmm. to where it can be charged a lot more. But I mean, like, at what point do you analyze the value of the increase? Like, if you're paying like just to keep it in basic terms, mm-hmm. if we're paying $1,000 mortgage, but let's say I fixed up the kitchen or whatever, and I think the house should be valued at, instead of $1,000 a month or for whatever the mortgage is, that it should be somewhere around $1,500. How do I find that $1,500? Is something that I kind of like.
Yeah, that's where I feel like me and you know more about like the stock market and like this realm than we do about like how like being able to value or find the valuation, in a house.
Yeah, because it was just like, that was just one thing that was like kind of like bugging me too. That it's like, how do y'all know?
Yeah.
Or like,
well, yeah, I even asked that. I remember because like we have some land, I mean, down there in the valley, and whenever they come in and appraise it for taxes and all that stuff, it's like all I see is trees and a gate.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's a gate that way, and there's trees, there's mesquite, and some firewood.
There's a board that we used to shoot up back there in the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, land's always gonna go up. I mean, that's always gonna.
Yeah, it'll appreciate, but I guess just to close up the point about your buddy there, as far as like, it's just gonna depend on how long he's willing to wait, and if if he's trying to move out before he actually finds renters, I think he'll be waiting a while.
I mean, yeah, because it's just I don't know.
Because one thing that I think is that you have to market the house. Like you have to promote it. You have to promote it. You have to push it out there because I think people are looking for houses, but unless you're promoting it and like pushing for it and trying to and asking people and guerrilla marketing, like I think your house is not going to be seen right away.
Well, don't you think you should also take into account your demographic in the area and what is like obviously rent here and rent in Houston are two different, like they're in two whole different spectrums. And obviously, because more people that work in Houston, the more often than not, they're I guess like the average yearly salary of somebody working in Houston is going to be a lot higher than the average yearly salary working in the Valley.
Yeah.
So don't you think you should also take into account like, well, like, yeah, I want to make $500 a month, but am I going to really find somebody for those first 6 months? Like, it's probably going to be a little difficult. But if I bring it back down to 1,300, I'm more than likely going to find somebody reasonably enough within the area to buy it.
Yeah, it's willing to.
That's willing to
rent it.
Rent it out.
Yeah, I don't know. And see, that's why like I don't have a good grasp on where people's mindsets are when it comes to like looking for a house. I know what I want. Very selfishly. I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for. Space and the types of rooms that I want. So like that. Like so, I know what I'm looking for. But like to try to judge somebody else and what try to market to a person, to someone else. I don't know. I don't have any sense of direction for that.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess I was just thinking even not long on myself, like how would I do it? How would I, like if I was put in that situation? I mean, it is kind of difficult, especially like knowing the people here and knowing that like not many people can afford that amount or like a certain value. And then if it is a lot cheaper to get a mortgage, then at what point are you guys just gonna be like, you know what, I don't wanna rent anymore, and I'd rather buy a mortgage and build my own thing, and then that guy's gonna be stuck with a mortgage, like with his hand in it, like paying a mortgage that he doesn't want.
Oh yeah, paying for more because the rationale is correct. Like you buy real estate, you buy a house, and then you don't always have to even live in it. You just buy the house and you rent it. You fix it up. You make sure it's good to go. Mm-hmm. You ask a real estate agent to help you promote it. And a lot of people in California do that, where they'll buy property, but then they use a real estate agent as the middleman. And of course, they're going to take a percent, 10% or whatever percentage, and then you keep whatever is left of that profit. So I know that, but it's like, but beyond that, it's like that. I don't have a clue.
Yeah, because I mean, I'll be honest. I even I tried doing my cheap impersonation of a negotiator because I was like, I mean, granted, we were shooting the stick too because we're out golfing and we had a couple of brewskis in us. But I was just like, I told him, I was like, look, how much are you really gonna pay, or how much are you gonna pay your realtor? And it's like, or how much money is the realtor gonna get out of you renting out your house? And it's like, oh, I might have to pay her this much percentage. I'm like, look, knock that percentage off the rent, and then we can start talking about why are you gonna have to pay her? Let's cut her out and let's work something out, me and you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But it's like I think he has like that gut feeling that he knows he's gonna get somebody for that price. And I'm like, I mean, no harm, no foul. That's not that's not
that's the thing. Like, I mean, if as long as he's willing to wait, then he's good.
Yeah.
And if his mind's already set, then then the discussion's over.
Yeah.
Discussion's over.
Yeah, and just don't be like me with that BTBT contract that I have going on right now, and I'm just holding on to it. Hopefully, it's gonna blow
crossing
up.
Your fingers for now and hoping that
it's gonna blow up again.
Oh man, that's so funny.
It's gonna happen.
Good shit. All right, bro. I think we can wrap it up there. We hit an hour and a half there, so I think we covered a lot of good bases, and we hadn't talked in a while, so I think it was good to.
Yeah, it felt so fast though.
Catch up. Yeah. I wasn't sure how long we're gonna go. It's like, but I have a timer that I start now, so I can kind of keep track and just keep things flowing. But stay on. I'm gonna wrap up the show, and then we'll talk. When me and you end the conversation in a little bit.
Got it.
Any final thoughts you have? Metaverse, Bitcoin. Don't for our listeners, don't sue us. We're just having a conversation about things that interest us, and this is not financial advice or acknowledgement. It's just us doing our due diligence to try to open up people's minds.
I'm really, what do you call it? Like, I'm really looking into more actual blockchains and companies that mine Bitcoin and Ethereum and all this stuff that has piqued my interest, because I'm looking more into that. Other than that, I really do hope that Bitcoin and Ethereum blow up even more than what they already are right now.
Do you have any other crypto besides Doge or anything? Are you just into the mining side of it?
I haven't been able to actually purchase a crypto because I know Robinhood, you can kind of do it, but I'm not too sure, or I'm not well versed in what app to personally use for crypto. I do eventually want to get into crypto because it always reminds me of there was this professor that we had in economics back in high school that I always remember that he mentioned, like he always had this thing like before the market, or because it was after the market crashed, obviously, or the housing market crashed, but it always stuck with me because he not only had money he had money in dollars, but he also had money in he had yen, and then he also had the currency that they use in France or whatever.
Okay.
And that's what always reminds me of cryptocurrency, because it's like it is literally a currency that, like, what if the dollar fails? Obviously you have another cryptocurrency that, like, the value increases on its own and you don't have to do anything for it. Yeah. So that's like, I think it's a good idea, but I'm not too sure.
We'll stand by and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Bet. Cool, man. Yeah. I think when I read this, I'm sure we did touch a lot of deeper spots, and we tapped into Web 3.0, and kind of where that stuff's going. It's still a little. I think it's still a little ways away, but we're heading in that direction. And my experience today, a single experience. I had never done any type of VR stuff before, and I was like, this is freaking cool. Like, I think this is really cool. So wrapping up the show, take care of yourself, mentally and physically. If you have a team, lead from the front, lead by example. If you need help, ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. And we'll see you all next time. Freddy, thanks for being on. I think we always have good, productive conversations, and then we'll see what the next conversation brings.
Sounds good, man.